Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to Harping on Rugby. This is part of our weekly feature called the 80 Plus column. But this video is all about a segment we call the Front Five, which is a selection of five eye-catching, egg-chasing quotes and links from around the rugby media landscape. As you can see, I've got five headings all lined up here. So let's crack on with this week's articles, starting with this one from RTE, Michael Glennon. And the headline reads, Munster have no timeline on potential Jack Crowley contract as rumors swirl. This is the latest in the ongoing Jack v. Sam saga, which the Irish media is absolutely loving, and a lot of people on social media are just lapping up this what I consider to be a ridiculous, false competition. That when you pick, when one person gets picked, it means you're discriminating against the province the other player plays for, as opposed to just making a plan for a game and picking the players you want. And these are the guys you're going with for whatever reasons. I mean, it's that's essentially what it is when you strip out all the parochial crap. But anyway, so basically what happened is Munster are playing this weekend, this coming weekend in the URC. It's a big game against Connacht. It's an inter-pro, already a big game. But the way the URC stacks up, the positions from 5th all the way down to 13th, I think it is, are kind of up for grabs. There's not many points between them. There's like one win between them. So every game, it's like a 10-pointer, you could say. So there's got those implications for Munster as well. They're after losing 2 in a row. So, they really need to get this one, but, this is technically away to Connacht, but also it's a big day. It's not in Galway. It's actually in Mayo. It's in McHale Park. So it's a huge game. So they had a pre-match press conference, obviously, early in the week ahead of this match. And who did they put out? But they put their skills coach out. Now they've got, their new head coach, McMillan, won't be there until next year. But no, I guess nobody wanted to touch it. And Mossy Lawler, their skills coach, drew the short straw. But anyway, obviously, the first questions were never ever going to be about the match against Connacht. It's because there's news reports in the paper now that obviously that Jack Crowley's agent is trying to push the RFU to a deal. There's more stories that Leicester Tigers are offering more. Yada yada. All this is going on. So the first thing he's going to be asked is, "What's the story with Jack?" And he was given the prepared statement that gave us the quote from the article. No update on Jack yet, but it's something from a rugby department point of view that we haven't focused on. In other words, I'm just the coach here. This is way literally above my pay grade. And I don't know. Listen, I've said multiple times, I'll keep saying it. I was ready. I would have had Jack Crowley in my team for the Six Nations campaign. Still won 4 out of 5. The performances weren't great. And I do see the positives of having Sam there, because now he's been through an entire campaign. He started 4 of the 5 matches. I think he was always going to be on the bench for the Italian game. It just happened to finish last. I don't know if he was necessarily dropped, but now we've got 2 10s who have been through a Six Nations. I think, you can see the positive. That's always been my stance. But other people are going to see this as, the RFU, they want to let him go, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be ongoing. So anyway, that's our first article. It's an article about there being no news. They're funny ones. But we'll move on to the second one, which is on the same kind of theme. Our second article comes from extra.ie. The headline reads, Sam Prendergast does not suit Ireland's game, claims ex-Springbok star. This gets my Clickbait of the Week awards, which I've got a new logo there for, as you can see. Basically, now the real news here is that Sam Prendergast signed a new contract. Now, that in itself on social media got a lot of people going, you give him a contract, but you won't give Jack one. And people spreading misinformation saying, I hear it's really a central contract, and, blah, blah, blah. It's whatever it is, it's pro Leinster bias from the IRFU is always the end point of a lot of people's spin, which, like I say, I'm willing to have a discussion with that, but it's not all about that. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, this article is from extra.ie, and the quote, the decision to make an article out of this, and the quote is, it's definitely designed to bait these fans who are involved in this Jack v. Sam kind of fake feud. this is a rugby player called Pretorius, Andre Pretorius. He was a fly half for the Springboks. He hasn't played Test rugby since 2007. Doesn't mean he doesn't know his stuff, but that's just the fact. He was on a podcast and he said physicality is definitely not Sam's strength yet, but that you can work on. There are also some technique issues now. The key words there is it's stuff you can work on, and that's the point. Sam could be a work in progress. Maybe he was a bit raw going into the Six Nations, but it'll stand to him. Obviously they can see he's got the talent, and he's got his first senior contract for Leinster, and that's great news overall for Irish rugby. Even those outside Leinster, even if they can't see it, I think it is still good news for Irish rugby. So Sam is signed. I think that he does have issues to work on. A lot of people said that a problem with Ireland was predictability. In a way, you could argue going with Sam was pushing back against that, and maybe it'll take our systems a chance and the other players around him a chance to get to know his game. But I think he's got a high ceiling on him, and so does Jack. I think it's great to have the two competing going forward. I think that's the big message, even if some people don't choose to see it. Okay, enough about that. There'll be more Jack v Sam. I might even come up with a graphic to because there's going to be an article on this feature every week, Jack v Sam. But anyway, we'll move on. Article number 3 comes from irishrugby.ie. It's the latest update in the Lions, and just this we're recording Wednesday lunchtime, and just this morning they confirmed the full slate of coaches for the Lions to go with Andy Farrell. He's taken a lot of Irish players, Irish coaches. I mean, he's taken Simon Easterby, John Fogarty, Andrew Goodman. But again, I've said this before. That makes sense. They're people he's used to working with. Now he's also got Richard Wigglesworth, and he's got John DL from Scotland. That's a good mix there. No Welsh coaches, really? No, seriously. This is the team that's going, and I do feel that it's going to be a heavily Irish squad. Even though we didn't win the Six Nations, but we were still the best. We've been the best of the Lions nations for the past 3 years since the last Lions tour. We've won 13 out of 15 Six Nations matches, and that's not nothing. I think England will get the captain. I have a feeling Maro Itoje will be the captain. They're talking about him and Kylan Doris, but Doris hasn't been on a tour. I think it probably go to Itoje. I think that'll be their appointment there. But it'll still be mostly Irish squad. Now, some people might wonder, Simon Easterby took the reins for Ireland at the Six Nations. So what about this Ireland summer tour? We're going to play Georgia and Portugal over the summer. Well, it's Paul O'Connell was announced during the week that he's going to lead that squad, and that'll be a good experience for them. It's not ideal for Ireland to be going from Andy Farrell, and then Farrell's taken out. So now Simon Easterby, and the Easterby's taken out, and Paul O'Connell's taken out, when all those people were there when Andy Farrell was coaching. So the team have to get used to a new guy in charge. It's not ideal, but I still think this tour will help some of the fringe players get some rugby over the summer. So anyway, that's the Lions coaching team, and that's the plans for the summer. And then there's also talk. Now they're on the subject of the Lions. There's a few articles out there saying that we're looking to play France. The Lions against France. That would be a big game. That would be a big kind of almost a Six Nations grudge match a lot there. But I think the sticky stipulation is that that the Lions will only play them if they play a full strength team. But the French if they played it, they'd be going off to play New Zealand, and they would want their players fit for New Zealand. And I could totally see why that could be a stumbling block, but we'll see what happens there. More on that later. Okay. Article number 4. This comes from Derek Foley in the Irish Mirror. Usually I try to come up with some kind of pun or something for a headline for these little segments for these articles. But this one I've just simply decided to call Aoife Wafer. That's all, because as far as I'm concerned, that's all you need. The headline of the article is Ireland's rugby number 8, Aoife Wafer, is about to set our sports world on fire. As far as I'm concerned, she already is. I've been following her for Leinster and Ireland for the past couple of years. And we're recording on Wednesday. Just yesterday, Tuesday, was her birthday, just her 22nd birthday. I mean, it's amazing. She's got such a career ahead of her if she keeps, she sticks with it and she stays injury free. Obviously, number 8, there's no guarantees. But I mean, the quote from the article, I think it's the first line: Aoife Wafer is rugby's one-woman band. She can do it all herself. She can literally, she scored tries for fun. She got 2 in this match against France. The result in points wise was disappointing, but remember, 3 tries all against France. That's not nothing in women's rugby. Nothing. That's not nothing at all. So, and Aoife Wafer is a big part of that. She's not the only player in the team. Loads of other Aaron King. There's lots of players coming through that team, but Aoife Wafer is a bona fide star. And I think it's important that we get to know her name, and we push her forward as one of the stars of women's rugby, just to get the personalities out there that we need to raise the profile of the women's game. And there's no better way to do that, by the way. We've got our good friends, the Mudder Ruckers Pod. They're going to have drop their second episode, I think, on Thursday. Keep an eye out for that. Subscribe. Do all the things, comment, like, share, subscribe their stuff, the same as you do for ours, of course, our harp and stuff. So Mudder Ruckers, that pod as well. Keep an eye out for that. And the women have a big game against Italy in Parma this weekend. Okay, finally, last but certainly not least, we don't often go to munsterrugby.ie, but there's an interesting article there. The headline reads, Munster to play Biarritz to celebrate 20-year European Cup anniversary. Now, this is, we learned recently that Munster are going to play a preseason game against an Argentina 15. And now it seems that they're going to play Biarritz. Now, this is going to be in Biarritz. It's going to be at the Stade Aguilera. It's going to be on August 22nd. So obviously, you know, in the lead up to next season. But you see the way it's being spun here. Munster to play Biarritz to celebrate the 20-year European Cup anniversary. The quote is, Munster saw of Biarritz 23-19, thanks to tries from Trevor Halstead and Peter Stringer, and 13 points from the boot of Ronan O'Gara back in 2006. I remember it well. And listen, and I want to make it perfectly clear, you can believe this or believe it not, but I was actually in a pub watching that game, one of the biggest rugby pubs in Dublin, Gleason's of Booterstown. I was there watching that game, and the whole pub was cheering for Munster. They were cheering for an Irish win. That is as true as I'm sitting here. But the fact is now they're commemorating. It's interesting to use that branding, commemorating, because on Munster's side, I know I'm going to sound like I'm being mean here, but do you want to commemorate that it's been 20 years since those European wins? Do you want to commemorate that? And from Biarritz's side, I don't think that's going to be in their spin to sell tickets for this game. Oh, come watch the game again to commemorate 20 years since we lost to Munster, this Irish team. No, I really don't think that's a draw. I don't think they'll be. I don't think they'll be pushing that in their promos on their side of things. But anyway, the final point about this is that I spoke earlier about the supposed pro Leinster bias. When it comes to the IRFU and support from the IRFU. And but if you notice, when it comes to these high profile preseason games, just in this particular subject, Munster always get the better of them. They play the Springboks, they play the All Blacks. Obviously, they're trying to replicate the whole alone it stands thing. But seriously, I mean, I can see why their matches would be more of a draw because of that. But still, it's it's not even a Leinster thing. I mean, for once, I think Leinster can kind of join forces with Connacht and Ulster and say, like, maybe we should get some of those matches. I mean, Leinster, we've had matches against, I think, Canada and Chile over the years, but they've been few and far between. And from Leinster's point of view, is actually, we haven't had that many preseason matches at all. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, Leinster, you get everything, but I know that. But the fans do like those preseason matches and maybe in the test window matches as well. And they do sell. They are money generators. So, you could argue that maybe Munster are getting more of the love there than the other provinces. I don't know. That's up for discussion. But this is an interesting game. And, I hope it goes well for them. It would be a good travel opportunity for the Munster fans before the season. Okay, listen, we're going to leave it there. Thanks. That completes this week's Front Five. Remember, we do a lot of other regular features, like on our full 80-plus column. You'll get all the actual Front Five links there on the blog. Plus, there's the injury update. I pick a possible Leinster 23 for a game against the Sharks, Troll Patrol feature. And also, we have a one-stop shop of updates on all the other rugby tournaments like the AAL, Top Cat Tours, and the Premiership. You can get it all by heading over to our website at harpinonrugby.blog. Next up here at Harpin Manor, we'll have our usual and preview and wrap pods for the game against the Sharks at the weekend. So please be sure to subscribe to our channel, as well as all our other social media platforms. You can find those at linktree/harpinonrugby. Until next time, stay safe, everyone. Slán.